Hello friends. Welcome to my new JPA, Hibernate programming tutorial series video. In this series, we will discuss about how to create composite primary keys by embeddable annotation in Hibernate using JPA. Let's move ahead. Friends, let's discuss what is composite primary keys in database. Composite primary keys in database are group of columns whose values together make a unique value for a row. If unique key is contained in single column, then @ID is used, and when the primary key consists of multiple columns, these columns needs to be grouped into a different object. To group multiple columns into a class, some rules have to be followed. Moving ahead. Friends, let's discuss rules to make a class hold composite keys. Class must be a public class. Class must have a default constructor. Class must implement serializable interface. Class will not require primary key of its own. Class must implement equals and hashcode method. Class should have embeddable annotation when using this strategy. Moving ahead. Persistence.xml file used in this example must have following properties, as mentioned in the slide. Friends, you can watch my complete video on persistence.xml. In this tutorial we can skip explaining the persistence.xml. Only property to mention is Hibernate.hbm2ddl.auto, having value as create. This property signifies that, whenever we run application, it should delete previous schema and table, and create new table based on the persist method call. Moving ahead. Let's create an entity by name employee. Create a property in it by name employee name. In order to make employee entity have multiple keys together as primary key, we will make address class as has a relation property in employee. This address class will have @ID annotation over it. This class will be treated as a class, having multiple properties making together as primary key. That is, address class will be sort of class holding composite primary keys. Moving ahead. Let's create a address class, holding composite primary keys. This class must follow few rules we discussed above. Let's discuss all the rules as point by point. Number 1. Address class must be annotated by @embeddable. This annotation tell Hibernate that address class properties will be embedded into employee entity. Moving ahead. Number 2. This class must implement serializable interface. Moving ahead. Number 3. Address class has group of properties such as street name and zip code. These two properties together will make a primary key. These two properties together will be composite primary key. Moving ahead. Number 4, address class should be made public. Moving ahead. Number 5, class must implement equals and hashcode method. Friends, you can watch my 2 videos for equals and hashcode method. In this tutorial do refer those videos, we can skip its explanation in this video. Here, this 2 method allow the JPA to test primary key collisions. Here, we have to make combination of street name and zip code as unique. JPA uses these 2 methods to make properties unique. Moving ahead. Let's create test class for providing demo for composite primary keys using embeddable. Let's discuss the code point by point. Number 1, create a employee instance having employee name as John Smith. Moving ahead. Number 2, create a address instance having street name and zip code as Park Street and 4110128. Moving ahead. Number 3, let's call persist method of entity manager to persist employee instance. This will create a table employee in database, having street name and zip code as primary composite keys, into it as columns. Friends, for rest of code working you can refer my previous tutorials on JPA. Moving ahead. Let's check database for table employee and run a select query on it, as shown in figure. The image in slide displays the single row for employee entity, having address columns into it and being unique together. Moving ahead. So friends, this was the tutorial on how to create composite primary keys by @embeddable annotation in Hibernate using JPA. So friends, go through this video 2 to 3 times so that composite primary keys by @embeddable annotation concept in JPA gets more clear to you. Hope you like this video. Please give 1 minute to like, share, comment or subscribe my channel, or you can visit my website at www.hubberspot.com.